India faces threats from two nuclear-armed neighbors, and both have powerful air and naval capabilities. So, how does India silently prepare for the challenge? The answer lies underwater, literally. Let's understand how Indian submarines evolved from Cold War era imports to cutting edge nuclear platforms that can strike back without warning. Greetings, aspirants. Welcome to CivicCentre-IAS. Today, we are going to explore one of the most fascinating and lesser known stories of India's defense evolution, that is, the journey of Indian submarines. From leasing submarines during the Cold War to building our own nuclear powered ones, this is a story of quiet determination, technological progress, and strategic foresight. Let's begin with how it all started. India commissioned its first submarines, that is, INS Kalvari, in December 1967. It was a Foxtrot class diesel electric submarines built by the Soviet Union. At the time, this marked a major leap of the Indian Navy, which had no prior experience in underwater warfare. The word Kalvari means tiger shark, and just like its name, it was designed to strike silently beneath the waves. Now, what is a diesel electric submarine? It uses diesel engines when it's on the surface to charge batteries, and then switches to electric motors when it goes submerged into the waters. This allows it to move silently underwater. But these submarines have one limitation. That is, they can only stay submerged for shorter durations since they need to surface regularly for air as well as fuel. In the decades that followed, especially during the 1970s and 80s, India expanded its submarines fleet with the Soviets' help. We acquired the Sindhu-Ghosh class submarines, which were Russian Kilo class submarines modified for Indian use. These submarines had better sensors, improved stealth, and more advanced weapon systems compared to the older Foxtrot class. Now, they allowed India to establish a credible underwater capability in the Indian Ocean, especially during times of regional conflicts. However, by the early 2000s, Indian submarine fleet had begun to age. Most of the submarines were over 2 decades old, and India faced an urgent need to modernize. This led to the launch of two key initiatives. One, Project 75, which aimed to build advanced conventional submarines, and two, Advanced Technology Vessel Project to develop nuclear powered submarines indigenously. Let's talk about Project 75 first. Under this project, India partnered with France Naval Group to build 6 Scorpene class diesel electric submarines in India at Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders Limited in Mumbai. These new submarines were designed for stealth, endurance, as well as deadly accuracy. In 2017, the first of these submarines were commissioned, and it was again named as INS Kalvari, honoring the legacy of India's first submarines. These Scorpene class submarines are more advanced than older Kilo class ones. They have improved sonar, better quieting technology to reduce noise, and modern torpedoes and anti-ship missiles. They're designed for both defensive patrols and offensive operations in enemy waters. But even with these upgrades, one major limitation remained. They still had to surface to air, which could make them vulnerable during long missions. This is where nuclear powered submarines come into play. In 2016, India commissioned its first indigenously built nuclear powered submarine, that is INS Arihant. This was a historic moment not just for the Indian Navy, but for India's strategic capability as a whole. Unlike diesel electric submarines, nuclear submarines are powered by a nuclear reactor. They don't need to surface for weeks or even months, and they can travel vast distances without refueling. More importantly, INS Arihant is capable of carrying submarine-launched ballistic missiles like the K-15 and the K-4. This gives India second strike nuclear capability, completing the third leg of its nuclear triad alongside the land-based and the air-based delivery systems. With this, India joined the elite club of countries like the United States, Russia, China, the UK, and the France. You may be wondering, how many submarines does India have today? As of now, India operates a mix of diesel electric submarines, including the Scorpion class boats like the INS Kalvari, Khanderi, Karanj, Vela, Vagir, and Vagshir, as well as older Russian built Kilo class submarines. In the nuclear segment, we have INS Arihant, INS Chakra, which was leased from Russia but has since been returned. Another nuclear submarine, INS Arihant, is expected to join the fleet soon. India is also working on Project 75-1, which aims to build 6 more advanced conventional submarines equipped with air-dependent propulsion systems. These systems allow submarines to stay submerged much longer than traditional diesel-electric submarines without needing nuclear power. Now, let's understand why all of this matters. India is a maritime nation with a vast coastline of around 11,098.81 kilometers, and it sits right in the middle of the Indian Ocean, one of the busiest and most strategically important waterways in the world. With increasing Chinese naval presence in the region and threats from both state and non-state actors, having a strong underwater force is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Submarines allow India to carry out surveillance, maintain deterrence, and if needed, launch precision strike from the sea, all without even being detected, which is called the stealth capability. They are silent, flexible, and extremely difficult to counter. To sum up, the evolution of Indian submarines is a powerful story of transformation from importing Soviet era diesel submarines in the 1960s to developing our own nuclear powered submarines in the 21st century. It reflects India's journey towards technological self reliance, strategic autonomy, and secure maritime future. Thanks for watching. If you like this detailed breakdown on India's nuclear triad or want to compare conventional versus nuclear submarines, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more simplified UPSC relevant defense content. Jai Hind.